Welcome to Brother. Wow, we are here having a live conversation inside BU Cafe. We kind of stirred up a little bit this week.
Just a little bit.
But first and foremost, we want to thank you all. Brother is a community experience. I don't want to call it necessarily a show because that would undermine it.
Mm-hmm.
We have beautiful people here in the crowd who are going to discuss issues amongst each other. And you never know, be the ones that architect a new future for somebody behind us. Very passionate about this work. I love the authentic nature of the show right now. You hear that coffee steaming in the back. Who got the latte? Somebody. But yeah, today's show, we're going to talk about money. And I don't want to talk about it in a way of, we're not just trying to get the bag, right?
Yep.
We're trying to get the recurring, the residual.
The generational wealth.
I'm not trying to be rich. I'm trying to be wealthy.
Exactly.
I want to do things with influence.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes a different mindset and that takes a different approach and way you go about money. So I'm not a financial expert, and so
Neither
we're not
am I.
talking about those type of things. Trust me, don't follow me. But we have two great guests here that we're going to talk about it. One from the financial literacy side and her push of trying to educate our youth with that, which I got in a conversation with a young man online today. And, you know, he was the one that talked about, are you promoting our education? And I said, okay, well, tell me where financial literacy is taught in school.
Mm-hmm. Very true. And who's teaching it?
Nobody else has to raise their hand, but bro, credit smacked me before I knew what exactly it was. Because I never grew up knowing how to build credit. I never grew up knowing those type of things, but the other people do.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. If it weren't for me selling cars, I wouldn't have known what credit was.
Yeah, we all sold cars, but exactly. But anyway, we're gonna have a great show here today between Jasmine, Amber, and Trey McQueen. We're gonna introduce both of them. We'll first start with Jasmine. She has been a great advocate in financial literacy. She's done a lot. She has her books here, which is called The Money Club. I love this here. So she's going to talk to us more about financial literacy. So Jasmine, welcome to the stage. You got it. Hey. Sorry, move this table.
I'm good. How are y'all?
Good.
Good. Thanks for having me.
And then secondly, welcome to the stage, we have my man, Kozel, Trey McQueen, just a money hustler, very good with budgeting, orchestrating. I mean, I've known this guy as being a guy that's been into managing your wealth in the right way. And he's a young guy and he's energetic. And I thought he was a good voice to speak for today. He already warned me his views may be a little bit different, but I didn't bring people on the show to be, all hunky-dory. We need to have some hard conversations. So Trey, welcome to the stage. If you notice, he coming out here in silk. That boy smooth.
That's money.
Hey.
I went on vacation. I bought some outfits. I was gonna wear it today.
Hey, let me ask y'all a question. When y'all go on vacation, do you shop on vacation or you bring your clothes?
Bring them every time.
Nah, we just kidding. But thank you all for being here. Jasmine, I want to start with you because I want to make sure for the purists out there that we are covering our bases with education.
And it is important.
It is. Don't get me wrong. That's what I'm saying is that the question I always go back to with financial literacy, if it's so important and this is the way that we reach equality through economic means, why is it missing in our school system, in your opinion?
Well, one, knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power.
Which I think is part of it. But I also think there's a miscommunication between schools and parents because I really do believe parents think that the schools are covering it and schools think that it falls on the parents.
Yep.
And so then you have this, well, who's teaching it? And no one is. So that's kind of why I think that's the case.
So basically my parents sent me to school for my mom for the teacher to watch me. Because if I acted bad at school, they would call home and be like, "Listen, hey, I'm not coming from work. That's stay there." So that's kind of what you're saying is that basically the ownership has just been tossed around or placed.
Right. That's what I think. I mean, I didn't have that because I learned it at home. I had that luxury. But a lot of the kids that I went to school with didn't have that.
That's true.
So, yeah, that's what I'm telling you.
And when you say learned it at home, which is interesting to me because I know a lot, I think I know more people who didn't learn it at home. Mm-hmm. So that's very fortunate. What did your parents teach you or express to you when it comes to managing your money?
So my dad was a financial advisor.
Oh, okay.
Well,
so
there
that
you go.
helps.
There you go.
I didn't do research into her family, y'all. So excuse me, I ain't go that far.
No, so my dad was quizzing me on stock symbols at 7 years old.
Okay.
Like, what's Apple stock? What's AT&T stock? And like, right.
Yeah, right.
But that's what I mean by I learned
that's
it at home.
what we're trying to do next.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I got my first credit card at 13. I was not scared of credit.
Okay, wait.
In a good way, it sounds
In a
like
great way.
No. I'm jealous. 13?
I was about to say,
your
that's not
credit
me.
been good for a long time.
My credit is bomb. It's awesome. But I had that luck. I knew
Hey,
how to
are you
work
single? We got people watching. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Sometimes people say they had a credit card at 13. They didn't know they had a credit card at 13.
Okay,
That's how my
the
family
thing.
was set up.
Good one. This is a good setup. So
I will tell you.
Had bills in the name fresh out the
Hey,
womb.
You bring a really good point.
Right.
You got the power in your name at 3 years old.
I knew that credit wasn't money I didn't have, right? Because that's too often. My roommate in college went to NC State, got a credit card on the Brickyard. She comes back to the room with a bunch of bags of clothes, and I'm like, must be your birthday? Like, your parents gave you some money? What's going on? She's like, no, I got a credit card on the Brickyard. And I was like, that's not free money, right? She had no idea. She just went and kind of blew. I was like, no, we got to go back. We got to take it all back because that's not your money, honey. Like, it's not.
Wow.
So, yeah, but I'm thankful that I had, the knowledge that I had when I was young so that I have great credit now.
Yeah, I find that to be amazing that you were getting quizzed on Apple stock at 13. Because if you bought Apple stock at 13, I'm only imagining where you're sitting at right now. But no, to me, that is so revealing because I could be totally wrong, but what I'm assuming from a lot of minority families, and to be completely honest, I came from a good family. I would say that, a blessed family. But, my dad loved carrying around cash. And I'm talking about he still get dressed to go to the bank. So it's this different mindset that, I don't know how to use this vehicle. I'm only going to use cash here. Mm-hmm. But it seems like that may have been a catalyst for why you eventually wanted to flip over and do it yourself. Mm-hmm. Was that kind of some of the press? How did you turn into saying, I actually want to make a book for financial literacy?
I've been coaching swimming for 14 years now. I started coaching at my old high school as the head coach. In the first year, I had a swimmer who didn't know how to fill out a check. And
I still don't know how to.
Ooh, I'm about to say.
Okay. Read my book. It teaches you how.
Who here knows how to fill out a check? Damn.
Okay.
Do we need it though? We'll talk about that.
I've never had to.
So when he didn't know how to fill out a check, I'm thinking, okay, this is a white student. He has both parents in the home. If he doesn't know how to fill out a check, I know there are a lot of kids in underserved communities, predominantly minority communities, my communities, that don't know that knowledge either. And you're right, not a lot of people are writing checks right now, but it's just the simple fact that he didn't know the basics that I'm like, how do you not know how to fill out? What are you learning in school, right, is what I'm thinking, which is what
Christopher Columbus discovered America.
No, that's a good point, right?
Exactly.
Very good point.
We're learning that in school, but we're not learning the simple basics of how to develop any kind of wealth.
Mm-hmm.
That was my
It's not teaching you real life skills.
Yeah, that's what my point in saying. The education is thoroughly important. I'm a big proponent of that, but that doesn't mean it's above reproach.
Exactly.
Like, I look at education as a business just like anything else. It's a service that actually we pay into now. Think about it, to service. And so is it not okay for us to examine it to see whether it's actually benefiting us? I mean, I done played 100 little lotteries at the gas station for the North Carolina Education Lottery. But then I keep reading education's bad.
Yep.
In the same
Lack
position
of
it was
resources,
before the lottery.
Right.
Yeah, I think, and we were talking about this earlier. So I think that something that really bothers me about education, like we're talking about here, is that some of the things that, some of the most important things about life aren't taught there, right? And I wonder why that is. I won't make any assumptions about why that is, but I wonder why that is. But because of that, you end up having this situation where there's this information, and you've got a group who has it and a group who doesn't. And that information doesn't get shared in classrooms, but it gets shared over dinner tables at home.
Good point.
It gets shared at bath time. It gets shared while watching TV commercials on Super Bowl, right? And so that's a big difference between the haves and the have-nots. Not only all the things that we know have happened to us over the years, but also just the lack of that information being spread in our communities.
I hate to say it, but man, like the crabs in a bucket fits so many different sides when it comes to our community, unfortunately. You know, these people know me, like I'm a sharer. So I want any knowledge that I get, like you said, knowledge is power. And, you know, I don't know why it isn't shared there, but damn, what can I do? What can we do?
Yeah.
You know, what do the people here do? Like, I refuse to believe there's nothing that we could do. And I refuse to believe with all this damn technology, NFT, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Dogcoin, Dogecoin, like, all this stuff that is at literally right here, right? Like, we scroll through so many days looking at so much useless stuff and we scroll past the useful stuff at the same time. It's like, oh, nah, bikini. Yeah, nah. Like, it's just constant information in front of our face for us to utilize. But we'll go out in the street and protest, right? But then when we have our phone in front of our face to actually do something or leverage it, we won't.
So I will say this, bro. I don't necessarily. I think it's actually getting better in this generation, right? Because if you go on social media, you got people like me screaming at the top of their lungs all the time, just trying to give people different tips and stuff like that about how to grow well. And there's a lot of people out there like that. We are sharing that information. When I was saying it becomes like a situation of the haves and have-nots, our parents didn't know either.
Yeah.
It's not that they didn't want to share that information with us. It's something that they didn't know. Right. I think we kind of forget that we're not that far removed from
we
being
still
forced
catching
to
up
work for free, right? And because
that's so
of that,
true.
We're just now learning these things. So let's go back and think about it. A lot of people sitting on this stage, I'm willing to bet your parents, if they did go to college, were either first, maybe second generation college students, right? Okay, so the ball moved forward there. We got to give our parents and that generation credit because taking that step was huge for our families, right?
That's true.
So we are now that next step. They did a great job. They made sure that we, are educated and that we are prepared to face the world. It's now our job to seek out that next step of information and make that consistent for our kids, right? And I think that's where we're at now. Like we're at a situation where we have to not be afraid of some things that we've typically been afraid of because we didn't know about them and didn't understand them, and seek out that understanding so that we can start to change.
Right.
So.
Nah, it definitely starts there.
That education is a good part of that. And I think also that's why I commend when Marshall was telling me about you two. I think it's our responsibility once we do get that knowledge to make sure that we are passing it down. Right. We do get a lot of people, once they get to a certain level, it's like, okay, I'm done with my community. I'm over here now. So I think that's another point that's why I commend you guys. Like I said, we have to stop looking down on our own communities and start lifting our communities up. Because like you said, we are so far behind. We're just now catching up. I mean, I was first generation college student for my family. So, we're trying to catch up, but
straight out
the
of
world is moving. Leave Roxborough alone. I got somebody else in here from Roxborough, so keep talking.
Hey. As long as you bring them other boys from Roxborough, we straight. So we good.
No, but yeah, we're trying to catch up in a world that's moving so fast with all these other ways of creating income now. And like you said, it's fear looking at some of these ways. Like we have things that have been passed down so long for tradition. We have to start opening our minds and looking into these new avenues because it is moving quickly. And the longer we wait, the longer we're going to still be behind.
Absolutely. I think Marshall kind of mentioned it. He kind of said something. He mentioned that his dad, liked to carry a big wad of cash, right? Why?
Yeah.
But think about it. We kind of know why, right? We feared investment vehicles before in the past. And so people would prefer to kind of keep their cash on them or keep it in a bank account. I remember my parents did such a great job of telling me, hey, you need to save for a rainy day, right?
Right.
Okay, after a while, you kind of need to stop actually saving cash for a rainy day and put it in something that's going to allow
What's the return rate on putting your money in the bank? Say it's like
basically,
I was about to say,
that's what I'm saying.
$0.6.
Right.
0.6. So I'm so glad you said that because if we are taught about money, it's saving, right? And to me, it's like, okay, saving money is good for that rainy day type of stuff. When you want to be, I guess, liquid for that day, do what you need to do.
Don't rain that many days, though.
But my thing is that, more importantly, is that, okay, so when we have been taught about money, we have been taught about money as if it's a thing that doesn't breathe.
Yep.
If it's a thing that doesn't walk, if it's a thing that doesn't run, if it's for some people, a thing that doesn't fly. Supersonic jets for Bezos every second, right? So they have learned to leverage money as an actual entity to do something with. And I have never met a more creative, ingenuity type being than the African-American community when it comes to stuff. And so I feel like that power in your mind, put with the knowledge in the right place, of knowing how to turn a dollar into a foot soldier could be so incredibly powerful. That's literally what built this city. Guys saying, you know what? We can't go over on that side of town to drink the damn water. Let's build a water fountain over here.
Exactly.
Where is that? Like,
so I'm with you. I think it's coming. I think a lot of it's on us though. We've got to lead that change, right?
Who, millennials or Gen Z? Or what's the next? This is Gen Y, Gen Z? Gen Z, Zoolander. They crazy.
There's a lot of ways to do it.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of different ways to do it. So I don't want anybody to feel like you have to pick one way and just find what works for you. But the point is, we're so focused on how much money we actually make, right? We kind of get that confused with wealth and generating, like growing your wealth. When in reality, it doesn't matter how much money you make if you don't know what to do with it. Right?
Exactly.
There's people who make $12 an hour who like literally have a net worth of $500,000. And there's people who, make $150,000, $300,000 a year who have a negative net worth. Right? Because you don't know what to do with the money when it comes in. And I think that's what we need to focus on as we move forward is not being afraid to learn about investment vehicles, whether it's cryptocurrency, whether it's real estate, whether it's investing in businesses, privately, like here in Durham, if you want to, open your own business, or whether it's investing in the stock market.
Y'all can invest in Maverick Innovation. All y'all want to.
Or investing in yourself, right?
Right.
The point is, you need to put your money somewhere that's going to give it an opportunity to grow. Me personally, I'm not afraid of the stock market at all. I like to play it very safe, though. I'm not one of those risk takers that's out here looking for the next stock that's going to hit it big. And I think, that's something that we never talk about in our community. I never, ever, ever, a single time growing up, ever had a conversation with my friends or my family about the S&P 500.
We about to have one right now.
And what's crazy about it is that, all I've heard about the stock market growing up, when I did hear about it was, ooh, that's scary.
Yeah.
I don't want to put my money in that. I don't know nothing about that. I don't want to mess. And for good reason. We didn't know nothing about it. It's not a conversation that we had, right? But when you look at like the S&P 500, you guys know since 1926, it's averaged
exactly
a 10% annual return.
Exactly.
Since 1926.
Okay, so consistent. I'm a pause. How much?
10%.
And excuse me, how much was the yearly for the saving?
0.6.
So
goodness.
We gonna give it a little leeway, say 0.6. Okay. 0.6 versus 10%.
Absolutely.
Right. So
since 1926, consistent. right? And so the point is, you know, I'm not one of those people who's out here looking for the get rich quick type thing. Mm-hmm. I think it's a lot of smart decisions consistently over time that help you to get there. And I think that's something that doesn't get discussed enough in our community.
And I will. So 2 things, right? One, we did talk about the S&P 500 in my household, right? Yeah. But I will say one of the things that my dad always said
talked about the S&P 500 at 13
at the dinner table. But you know, it was more. It was why do you want to buy Nike when you can own it? That I like you know. Do you see what I'm saying? Like it's different. So it always made me feel like, okay, well I can own that, and now I own a lot of Apple stock because I have an iPhone, I have an Apple Watch, I have AirPods, and I think they're gonna keep coming out with stuff, and y'all gonna keep on buying it.
Oh yeah,
100%.
Right. So when I talk to the high school students, it's what are you interested in? What do you wear every day? What kind of car do you want to drive? What food do you eat? So that then it's not as scary to them.
It's making it personable.
Yeah, I can own stock in Starbucks. I can own stock, whatever it is that they like and they are a part of every day. You give it to them that way, and they're like, oh, okay, it doesn't seem as scary, right? But I got to bring up the knowledge piece again. I don't recommend anybody invest if you don't know the basics about money management. Don't tell me that you don't know the difference between a need and a want, an actual need and an actual want, but tell me you want to invest. Because then I'm going to stop you there. Like, no, we got to back up. Do you know how much money is going out versus how much money is coming in? Do you know how much money you can put aside to even start investing? Because that, I think, is where we tend to try to look over and say, oh, you should invest. You should invest. Not if they have a negative net worth. Let's teach you how to budget first, and then we can go there.
I think budgeting is something.
I was about to say.
So, like,
you got a card?
I'm guilty of that up until about 6-7 years ago, right? I was one of those people who kind of thought, the more money you make, that solves all your problems.
Right.
It don't.
Well, I went from making $28,000 when I first graduated to making a lot more than that. And I was still broke.
Right.
And not broke in the sense of like having like cash flow. Like I had a ton of cash flow, but net worth wasn't going anywhere. I couldn't figure it out. Budgeting was something that I wasn't good at, right? And it was because when I was getting a paycheck in my mind, I already knew, I wanted to go buy this, and this.
It's already spent.
Yeah, it's already spent. Every time.
I was never investing in myself, in my family, in my future.
Right.
Getting married helped to change a lot of that because I started thinking about, I want to.
You're not one person no more.
It helped to change a lot of that. It did.
Yeah.
But she's got a point. I mean, you've got to, financial literacy also encompasses understanding just how to manage your own household and understand the difference between a need and a want. Too many people will tell you that they need Netflix, Hulu, and HBO Max and need to get their nails done every couple of weeks, but in reality, it's kind of a want.
I think the genius of capitalism is to make you think that things that you want are things that you need. Classic example, the cell phone. It went from, okay, maybe you need it to call people, right? Now it's, I need it for my phone. I need it for my email. I need it for my wallet. I need it for entertainment, everything. But you said something about your parents saying something. And Trey, you said it before on Instagram. I remember looking at it. You said, why buy Starbucks coffee when I can own a piece of Starbucks coffee? And what it kind of threw me back is that I think a lot of us is trapped in that mindset. Unfortunately, through history, we were in a position of being a consumer or actually just being, I would say, a slave. And then there was an owner, right? And that population is always taught to own things. Our population is always taught to use things. The the economic spend of the black dollar in America is worth some GDPs. If we stop doing stuff, shit happens. I love Nike to death. Like, I think they're a great company, but I don't think that necessarily Colin Kaepernick was employed just for that. I think they made a calculated decision on a balance sheet and said, hey, we got a whole bunch of black sponsored Nike athletes. that are role models to these kids. If we don't stand here, we'll actually lose corporate money.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether it is or not, I'm taking it how it is as far as I'm wonderful support, but that mindset of we can be that.
Yeah.
We're in a Black-owned coffee shop.
I think one of the important things that both of y'all hit on is when you're giving people advice or when you're teaching people, both of you have lived it.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of the difference. Who are we learning from? I remember I was telling Marshall about this. Like, I made one of my professors in college mad about this. He was teaching entrepreneurship. So, like, I'm in class and I'm just like, man, something is not hitting me. So I was like, hey, have you ever owned a business before? He's like, no. Why are you teaching this class?
Deron actually said that to the guy. So
he was like,
guy.
I went to school for this, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, but you're reading from a book. I can sit in my dorm and do this. So what are you actually teaching me that I can go out into the real world and use? And that's a thing that hinders us a lot. Who are we learning from?
But to bring it back to financial literacy, before the pandemic, North Carolina was actually going to make personal finance a required course to graduate.
Should be.
It should be. And only 5 states have that requirement right now. It might be 6 because I think South Carolina just recently got it. But
South Carolina passed that?
South Carolina.
That's crazy.
Big up South Carolina.
Interestingly enough, when it was, when there were conversations about it and I was going to do different workshops, I was talking to some of the teachers, and the people that were going to be teaching the class were history teachers and civics and economics teachers. I had a conversation with one of them. She was like, I don't know if I can teach this class because I'm still not financially literate. So it's like, even if we make the certain requirements that I would like to see happen, like a personal finance class being required to graduate for high school students, who's teaching it?
Exactly.
Is it someone that knows themselves, or is it someone that's reading from a book?
Mm-hmm.
So I can go on and on about that.
I was about to say, because you open up a can of worms where,
Right.
the reason why that's that person teaching it, because we haven't invested in knowledge.
The teachers,
right?
We haven't
like
invested in that.
We have somebody like you pay somebody, they can't afford to pay you to teach that because they don't value that as much, right? But if we want to go to war, we're going to spend $1 trillion overnight.
Well, here's probably one of my first controversial statements, right? Is I kind of feel like, so what? Like, part of it is personal accountability, guys. And we've got to take that on our own to kind of go find this information out.
Yeah.
Now, we know for years it hasn't been easily accessible.
Yeah.
You know what's changed that? The internet.
The internet.
Like, with the internet, you can go find reputable sources to find information that you need. And that's why you hear me getting upset all the time when you hear people up there talking about how much money Jeff Bezos made this year. It is a lie, and I'm tired of people talking about it. Jeff Bezos' salary is less than mine. Did you know that?
Right.
He don't even make a 6-figure salary. Did everybody know that? His salary is less than mine. You know where Jeff Bezos made money? Because us in the market said that his business is worth X amount, and he owns a lot of the shares. So you know when I stopped getting mad at Jeff Bezos? When I started owning the shares too. So when his wealth goes up 20%, guess what? Mine does too.
Exactly.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's out there for us. And then you start to kind of reshape your thinking of it, and you say, okay, whether I agree with the way this machine works or not, it's moving.
Right.
And it's either going to move with me or without me.
Hey, for real.
But
if you can't swim, you're bound to drown.
Yeah,
for real.
That's true. That does take a lot, though, for somebody to transition to that. And that's why I say we do need a little bit of influence from who we are around. And that's why I think, like, if you're going to, Marshall, like he said, he struck a nerve with a lot of people asking him about his college worth of debt. If you are going to go
Good question, by the way. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, we are. We are.
But if you're going to go there and spend that money, you do need to be getting taught by somebody who does actually have the expertise in which you are being taught. Because there is kids who, they don't have it around them at home. And the internet does make it easy. But still, if you don't have it around you, you're not going to invest in it as much. So as going to college is them finding that or seeking that knowledge from somebody. So that's why I do think the influence and the educators still do need to be the right people.
Yeah, I get both what both of you are saying is that they need to be both people. And I think what Trey is saying is that those educators are right here now. Like, you don't have to actually go into that and do it. You can actually, Coursera, like, there's so many colleges offering free courses to do that. But once again, traditionally, we were told at least for my household, you go to school, find you a job, and your life's straight. Because that's how it was with my dad. And he still think that because he's just so old school.
Yeah.
But now we get to the subject, is college worth the debt? And so when we...
Not at all.
Yeah, I hear the cost. So when we... Yeah. I felt it in the room. But, okay, so we're going in, and I will perfectly disclaimer this. I was a college athlete, so when it comes to accruing debt myself, when it comes to school, no. So that lets you know where I am. But I'm still very passionate about this because I hear it from so many people. But anyway, you go to school 4 years.
5 in some people's case.
Oh, I went to 5.
I was about to say, some people in there forever.
Well, I had a 5th semester. I was a red shirt guy, so that's it. But 4 to 5 years, some people on that plan, it's no problem with that. You spend so much amount of money, right? And then you get out and you get this beautiful piece of paper. And you think that the world is your oyster. And then you go and apply jobs and you get slapped in the face. For me, it was slapped in the face that, damn, nothing that I went to school for is going to give me a job.
Exactly.
And then 2, damn, I don't need to calculate that much money in my check because I didn't know about taxes. The first check I got, I was like, damn, that's all I get after taxes? I thought they told me my salary. I was like, cool. Like you said, money was already spent. I'm online like, yeah, okay, right there. I got, $24,000.
You don't have to tell me. We work together. So
Exactly.
I get this. Yeah, we know.
Exactly. So, Trey.
You want me to go first?
I want you to go first because as we pose this question online, obviously we got 2 ends of the spectrum. And I will only say this. The end of the spectrum that kept saying about education, no, it's important, was the older generation.
Yeah.
100%. We did a poll. 12% said it was not worth it. I mean, it was worth it. 82% said it wasn't. And to me, how in the hell do we have 82% of people today saying it is more value to not go to school? Because they're not saying you don't need to be educated.
Okay, see, I'm sweating here a little bit because
Even
I'm already
ready.
going to be controversial here. So I didn't know it was 82%, but a lot of people feel that way, right?
Exactly. Well,
Okay,
no,
so-
82% on our Instagram validated poll. So
There we go.
We don't have any.
So
We don't have any actual statistics. We did a community. This is a community show. We did a community poll, and this is what 82% of y'all said.
I did the same poll on my Instagram.
Okay.
And it was significant. It was a lot of people who were saying it wasn't worth it, right?
Yeah.
Knowing me, I had to engage with people. I couldn't get to everybody because it was literally like hundreds of people who responded, right? But I engaged with some people. And so I had a couple of questions for them because I'm big on kind of evaluating things that I did wrong, for college, and then realizing that contributed to probably why I might have had that mindset before, right?
Yeah.
So when I was engaging with people, I thought about my own experience. First of all, how I made my decision to go to college. I don't think the way I made my decision of which college I went to was actually a smart way to do it. You want to know how I decided what college I went to?
Yeah, because I really want to know why you went to state.
Yeah, I would want to know why you went to Wake Forest. But anyway.
I mean, we got a little ACC route. I'm just
No, not really, because you're not even a Wake Forest fan.
Yo, stop. Like, we on camera, yo. Go Deeks.
Okay, so the way
I only cheer for Tar Heel basketball. Okay.
I'm
That's not the
NC
smartest
State
decision
through and
either.
through, and I got a table full of people
Damn,
over there.
Trey.
As much of a fan as I am of NC State, I made my decision of where I wanted to go to college because my dad went to that school and he won a national championship there, right?
Yeah.
That's the first mistake. My decision of why I wanted to go to NC State had nothing to do with my future post NC State. NC State's a great school, though, so I kind of got lucky on that sense, right?
Gotcha.
That was my first mistake. Get to NC State. What did I do with my experience? Well, I had a lot of fun, threw a lot of parties.
Too much fun.
Right? But while I was there, I didn't do a single internship.
Right.
I didn't apply for a single internship. I couldn't tell you where the internship office is located.
Exactly.
Right? Okay, so that's my second mistake, right? And then while I was also there, I networked, but I only networked within my own community, right? So my networking was being a noob. Shout out KZ. My network was, I wasn't necessarily an athlete at NC State, but I hung out with a lot of athletes, right? But my network really had nothing to do with what I aspired to do professionally. Mm-hmm. I didn't even start thinking about what was going to come next until it was time for me to graduate. And so knowing where I slipped up, that was where I went when I got all these no's. I started asking people, okay, so while you were at school, first of all, how did you decide where you were going to school? Oh, I just wanted this type of experience. Or I wanted to go to a school that had this type of football team. Okay, well, so you didn't make a decision about where you went to school based on what you wanted to do after school. That's the first thing, right? And then it was also pretty common that a lot of people were like me. They didn't do the internships. They didn't look for opportunities to prepare them for what comes after college. So all of us who didn't do that, we started behind the 8 ball. I don't know if that's correct to say that, but we started behind. And so, yes, a lot of us are going to feel like, no, college wasn't worth it, but did we really do what we were supposed to do to make it worth it?
We didn't squeeze the juice for what college was.
So looking at it now that, my parents, I feel like they did a great job. They prepared me and told me what they knew was best, right? Which was to go to college. Now it's my job to take what I've learned and kind of, when I have kids, kind of switch it up a little bit and say, all right, let's evaluate what you want to do. Now, they may not know exactly what they want to do yet, right? So let's think about 3 or 4 things that you think you might want to do post-school, right? Now, let's figure out the businesses that you're saying, that you might want to work for. If you want to work for Apple, if you want to work for Google, if you want to work for Lenovo or something like that, let's figure out where they recruit from, right? And that doesn't even have to be, a lot of people say, oh, so are you trying to say that you got to go to a certain type of school? Are you trying to say it can only be a non-HBCU? I had somebody respond and say that. No. Yeah. Did you know that all those places I just named also recruit from North Carolina A&T, right? But you need to go and figure out where the places that you want to recruit from, and go to those schools. And it's really easy to do. Call those schools career development departments, which, NC State had one. I didn't know, but we had one, right? A lot of people that I work with now took advantage of that, had a quick shortcut to get to the job that I had to work my behind off to get to, right? And so start doing that type of stuff to evaluate where you want to go to school, one. And then while you're there, get an internship, or at least try and find some sort of way to network with, the opportunities that you want to get, right? I've got a friend sitting at this table. She graduated from UNC recently with her MBA degree, right? I imagine during that time period, you had to do some networking to build what you're going to do afterwards. So why can't we have that same type of approach to undergrad to set us up for success? So my answer is that the debt is worth it if you make it worth it. If you don't do your part, it ain't going to be worth it. I rest my case.
Yeah, I really, really like that because much like the response you got back, people kept saying, well, the experience is priceless. The experience is priceless. I'm like, the experience ain't priceless. Experience is damn near giving me debt. So my thing is like, okay, so how can I get the experience, right? I mean, I can work hard and party hard if I want to do that, right? Instead of just party hard. That's possible, right? Like it. First of all, when I had got the conversation, I was like, are people missing what college was originally, what I feel college was originally intended for? If my parents, there's a reason why our parents told us, go there to get education, but what did they say right after education?
You're going to get a good job.
To get a job.
Yep.
Now you go to college and, now because of the work shortage, you probably get a job, but you go to college and you're not going to get a job at what you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, you may not even get a job that pays you back the debt that you owe.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this was so eye-opening to me because I'm so novice when it comes to that student debt. It's like as athletes, and everything was paid for us. But somebody showed me something that was $65,000, and then somebody said, "Oh, that's nothing. I know somebody over 300."
It's crazy.
But see, that's
300,000. Okay, no.
That goes back to what I'm talking about.
But they probably went
with
to
what school you went to.
Exactly,
right?
And they probably went to for something that required that schooling. But my thing is that why can't we ask the education system to start doing something of value for the people that are tapping into it? I mean, we got people still paying full tuition as of last year now to go remotely to school.
Yeah, do remote schooling. Yeah.
Yeah, that's messed up. And I think so. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you on there's things that the education system can do. Absolutely.
Yeah. But there's also accountability.
Also a personal accountability aspect
For sure.
of it. Like,
For sure.
Come on, dog. I mean,
no, you're exactly right.
I'm just gonna give a specific example. Like you were blessed to get a scholarship to go to Wake Forest, right?
I could have came out richer than when I went to school, to be honest. Richer networks, yeah. I
didn't get a scholarship to go to Wake Forest. So Wake Forest went on the table for me because Wake Forest is an expensive private school. Right.
Yeah. It was $56 a year that when I started.
That's crazy.
And there's people who make those decisions of, but that's the school I want to go to. This small liberal arts college with like 20 majors with no networking community.
First of all, I ain't gonna let you do my school.
No,
Keep going.
I'm not talking about Wake Forest. I'm not talking about Wake Forest. Wake Forest is a great school.
Yeah.
But I'm saying
right.
there's a lot of other schools out there that are just as expensive as Wake Forest. And they ain't Wake Forest. And so, but people will say, I wanted to go there because my mom went there, or I liked that experience there. Well, hey, the truth is, sometimes you got to realize if you ain't got the money to pay for it, that might not be the place for you.
So that's where I'm going to step in.
Okay.
Because I like that you're saying all of what you're saying about internships and all of that in college. I don't think I can speak to teenagers about financial literacy and not incorporate talking about how to pay for school and whether or not it's in your means to be able to pay for school. So I push a lot of trade school. I push, internships in high school because the issue now with social media is kids are picking schools based on where everybody else is going.
That's true.
Or, the football team or whatever. Instead of saying, Mom, Dad, how much do I have set aside for college? What's my budget? Do I even know what I want to do? Am I going to a four-year school undecided? Instead of doing internships. So I did my first internship my junior year of high school. Worked on it.
Crazy.
I'm telling you. So I thought I was going to go into nursing. Actually, I wanted to be...
you had it all figured out at 12 years old.
12. And looking at stocks at 13.
Man, I'm at the top of a tree at 12 years old.
I got my CNAs as a junior in high school and then did an internship at Rex and realized it's not like Grey's Anatomy on TV. I'm just being honest.
It's not cute and fun.
I thought I was going to see a bunch of kids, some gunshot wounds. Like that was, I know it's sad, but I realized, okay, it's a lot of old people in the hospital because they're all sick, right? Not for me. But I realized through doing that, that I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. Do you know what I mean? So I think you really got to start in high school and start having those conversations, start seeing something that I'm interested in, because it's going to change so many times that you don't want to get to college where you're spending to go there to decide, okay, I don't want to do this, let me switch my major. Or, okay, I want to do this. I went to NC State, graduated in 3.5 years because I did not want to take out another semester of loans. That was my route because...
you're very impressive.
I was about to say, don't say anything.
No, I was about to say, 3.5 years, we on 5-year plans,
But I also knew, so I made the mistake of not taking my sports career further. I did tennis, swimming, and dance, and I chose not to do any of that collegiately. I went to NC State because it was close to home, and I was the oldest of 5 and was still helping out with my younger siblings. My parents made too much money for me to get a whole lot of financial aid, so I knew very, very early on, okay, this is the amount of debt I'm probably going to have. I'm trying to avoid as much of that as possible. So I took 18 credit hours, I took summer school, and I got out of there as soon as I could. Do I think I missed out on some of the experiences? Yes, but I'm in a lot better shape debt-wise than other people. And then I found out that if you work for a nonprofit for 10 years, the rest of your loans are forgiven. So tapped onto that train too. So,
that's going to be a clip out the video.
So you have to... Especially with our young kids, if we're talking about passing down that knowledge to our youth and making sure they don't make the same mistakes that we did, you have to start having those conversations. What are you interested in? Go talk to a professional in that field. Ask them what a day in their life is like. See if that's something you even want to. My first job out of college was a CPA office. After a year of doing taxes, I wanted to pull my hair out. I hated it. Had I talked to a CPA before I went there, probably wouldn't have chosen to do that. Do you know what I mean? If you're interested in being a doctor, go speak. There are a lot of professionals that will talk to young kids about what they do, that will give you an internship, that will then lead to a job after the internship. You just have to know and go out and speak to those people. And I don't think that we push our younger generation to do that enough. Like, I talk to kids any chance I get about what I do, what a day in my life is like. And there are a lot of other professionals that will do that as well.
And so to add to her point, while I do agree that our education system can improve, I'm just not the type of person to sit back and wait for anybody to do anything for me.
Yeah.
You gotta go get it.
I need that information.
Right.
My kids need that information, So we all have access to the internet now, which helps us. It wasn't out there, 20, 30 years ago and easily accessible for us now.
Right.
If you want it, we got to start seeking it out, because if we don't seek it out, ain't nobody going to give it to us.
I mean, it's true. And, you just got, like you said, you just got to start and do it. The whole purpose and kind of the mission behind Maverick Innovation is the reason why all these red dots on these t-shirts is that ain't no question. Like, we got to be intentional about change. Like, I tell people all the time, man, change is not something that's going to be nice. I was a football player, man, like, we're gonna go through you. Ain't no around you.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you standing there, we're gonna go through you. And that's how I approach our goals. I'm very, very passionate about not being nice to your goals, because I feel like that passive type of lull is what capitalism breeds on. Our brains are made to be lazy, and things are put forth in front of us to continue us to do this, because if we take action, we'll begin to take control.
Yep.
And if I cannot be controlled by an entity or a corporation in order to motivate me to make a purchase, then I'm no use to them. But who am I used to? Myself, my family. I can build wealth this way. Like, it's exactly what you're talking about, recon the mindset, but it's much like what you're saying. It starts with a physical living example or mentor to tap into. And, what we're trying to create here is that there are a lot of young kids who don't have that in their home, right? But if we can create a group here or institution here that they can say, okay, hey, I want to get Jasmine But the Money Club to really start doing that. Okay, well, I learned about her from Maverick Innovation. I dropped her social, or Maverick Innovation says, hey, here's her materials.
Yep.
We need to start, like Trey said, we need to start thinking about what we're building more as institutions than actual just money-making things, right? Like, these have to create another set of millionaires, right? Like, if what we're doing doesn't inspire somebody else to do something, then it was worth nothing. I hope y'all like the chicken and go home. Straight up. So that's where I'm at with it. Like,
so I like that you mentioned, inspiring the next set of millionaires, right? You know what's made more millionaires than the NFL, the NBA, pretty much anything else out there that you could imagine?
Rapping, singing, yeah.
Rapping. What's made more millionaires is literally putting away $300-$400 a month and investing it over an extended period of time. You've got probably a next door neighbor who gets up and works an everyday job, right? Who is a millionaire on paper, because they've realized that it doesn't necessarily have to be this overnight type thing where I wake up one day and I'm a millionaire. It's little decisions over time. Consistency, absolutely. Yeah. And another thing I wanted to point out was I know that sometimes you mentioned capitalism, right? And
I'm not an anti-capitalism person, because I believe.
Well, I'm not trying to change your. I just want to be honest here.
Because philanthropy can be capitalism. It's just in a good way.
I understand.
Yeah.
I get why capitalism gets this negative rap, especially in our community, because we've rarely been on the side of capitalism where we've benefited from it.
Yeah, we haven't been owners of anything.
Rarely.
Exactly.
Feel exploited a lot.
Right? And so, my thing is, I get that, and I'm not upset at people who feel that way, because that's me too. That's my people too, right? But again, I'm the type of person, I look at it, I see the way things work, and I say, okay, if capitalism is what we're dealing with, how do I make it work for me.
I see what you're saying.
And even some of the things that we talk about all the time that we elevate as what we want to get back to was capitalism. Black Wall Street was capitalism. It's not a bad thing, right? It allows us to build wealth if we make it work for us.
Yeah.
So that goes back to me again saying, look, I understand a lot of people don't like the way a lot of these businesses work and move and this, that, and the other, but you can own a piece of that.
Yeah. Right. Start being that change that you want to see.
Right. Absolutely. And then once you've got that wealth, you can help educate other people on how to do the exact same thing.
Yep.
So that's my whole thing is I try and get people to not be so afraid of capitalism and to realize, hey, we can make it work for us too.
Right. And one thing that I really do appreciate that you do, Trey, is you pour back into the Black community. You are always posting Black-owned businesses that you, buy from and all this other stuff. And that's one thing I think us as a culture need to do a lot better of because, the Black dollar circulates around the Black community for 6 hours as compared to 15 days for white America and 30 days for Asian Americans.
That's crazy.
Because we're making money and we're spending it in other communities.
Everywhere but ours.
We're not spending it in our own community. And that's a topic not talked about enough. So, for instance, last summer, I did a teen pitch contest for only minority students. You had to be a minority because I wanted to pour back into the minority dollar because we're not doing it enough. We're making money and we're going to a beauty supply store that's owned by an Asian American. And we're pouring into that community instead of to our own. So I really do appreciate the fact that you do that. You post it, you tag them, you let me know where you got it from. And I'm trying to make my order too. And I think that's something we should be doing better as a culture.
No, I think you're 100% right. To me, it goes back to just the essence of unity, right? Unity in thought, unity in action. If one of the things that that was said about our people back in the day when Martin Luther King by Hoover, the actual FBI, was the most dangerous thing is the Black man unified.
Yeah,
like that's how powerful it is that if we get on one accord and start to do any things, I mean, we seen it with George Floyd. We actually start to change things for our benefit. And if you notice that the attack on that is taking the outliers of our society and using them against us when that's not the majority.
Yep.
We're not saying that the Black thing is monolith and that everybody thinks the same. But damn, we all were in slavery, so there's a pretty certain reason why we all think the same when it comes to certain things.
Yeah.
We have been conditioned to be in this mindset. But in wrapping up, I think of it like this. When it comes to money and the good nature of money, I tell everybody like this. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Not at all.
Like, I had to learn that the hard way. I'm a very community guy. I want to do this, want to do this, want to do this. And I was connecting so many people, but I wasn't actually moving the ball from what I needed to do. And then I said, okay, let me leverage this to build upon it. And people like to run away from it, but unfortunately, money runs this system. The have and the have-nots.
And the longer you wait to go get it, the longer it's gonna just keep getting passed down generation to generation.
Yeah, it's gonna pass you, and you're either going to be the one.
I've taken a step further, man. I agree with you. Money does run the system, but really the knowledge of what to do.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
that's true.
The system because we've got. I mean, man, when I put and I'll never put any names out there, but when I'm out there talking about different things that I'm starting to do with money here in the last 7 years, right? It's amazing how many people respond, and they're like, "Yo, I've been a doctor for like 11 years." Making $250,000, $260,000 a year, and I still ain't figured any of this stuff out. Like I built no wealth, right?
That's crazy.
It's happening. Even people who are making a lot of money, like they've got a lot of cash flow. It's the knowledge of what to do with that cash flow that is missing. So I think, yes, money. Unfortunately, it does run our system, but the knowledge of what to do with it can really help. It can help everybody. The story that we got to tell before we get off this stage, I think I mentioned it before, was that parking attendant, right? There's a parking attendant who never made more than $12 an hour. It's like, you could Google it. Like, never made more than $12 an hour. 70-year-old guy, house paid off, got a portfolio that's worth $500,000, right? If he can do it on a salary that never was more than $12 an hour, raised 3 kids that are now adults, right? If he could do it, then it's out there for all of us once we figure out how to use that knowledge of what to do with money.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. And what we are so happy to provide here is the knowledge that's on stage. But more importantly, I was looking at this workbook. This is a book that I'm assuming a lot of the stuff that we've talked about, they can go back. And this is good because it says a teenage guide to financial literacy, but I need like the kids guide. Like, because I seriously, like, I want money to be taught to me like a kid. So,
plug. I'm actually working on my next book.
Oh,
it will be a children's book. It's called Money Lessons with Dad. Like I said, I learned it from when I was younger. I think it's going to be really important to put a black dad with his black daughter on a cover of a book because I don't think that's talked enough in our community. And so that will be it'll come out in 2022. So
drop your socials where we can find all your stuff. Dad.
Yeah, so my nonprofit's called Facts for Youth, www.factsforyouth.com, _ Facts for Youth on Instagram. And the book can be found on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, the website. It's pretty much anywhere you look with books.
We'll also make sure in the show notes to have all the links and everything. Okay. And Trey, where can they find you to follow you, brother?
All right, my Instagram is at Trey McQueen, but it's at TR3MCQUEEN. I'm gonna warn you now, you're probably gonna hear me up there yelling about all of this stuff, man. I tend to talk really loud. I'm never really yelling. I just get really excited.
It's very passionate.
I literally want everybody to experience.
Exactly.
Like the things that
I'm trying to be in Jamaica too. You feel me?
Coming back with the leather suits and everything.
Coming back, no, silk. Right. He got that when he landed. No, I was joking. Okay. Nah, but no, I mean, I think everybody has that capability. Like you said, the example with the guy making $12 an hour. It ain't about the money. It's about the mindset.
Yeah. This is, I would say, a very important topic, especially for those who are here, for those who are going to be able to see this. I think, like both of you have been, with the work you've been doing, this can be very impactful to our communities. I know me for myself, speaking for myself, and I know a lot of people that I grew up with, we didn't have that to where we had that generation, that wealth coming down. The wealth was going up. Us having to help out our parents, helping out grandparents, helping out other members of the family. Right. So this here can really help break that pattern and that curse and that generational wealth, where stop passing it up and we can start finding out ways to help our parents, but also flip some of that money that we do have to start saving up so our kids don't have to keep this cycle going generation to generation. Right. So I think it's important that people actually listen to these conversations, and actually, if they can afford the book, go get the book. If they can afford to contact with you, because once we start actually generating wealth within our own communities, the sky's the limit from there. Right. This is a very important conversation that we're having.
Absolutely.
And it kind of reminds me of a conversation I just had with one of my good friends the other day. They're actually doing pretty well for themselves, but I asked him if he had a life insurance policy because he's got a family now. He was like, "Oh, I don't want to think about death."
You never know,
my brother. We got to take care of our family. We hope to stay here, right? But if something happens to us and we go, we got to make sure that they're good.
I think that I want to say this and end it with this, but it's so sad to me how many donation funerals I've had to be a part of, as far as somebody died and we got to raise money just to put them in the ground.
Yeah, just to put them in the ground, yeah.
How do we not prepare ourselves to even do that? I pray that I'm still in a position when I get there to at least bury my mother and father. Like, I think, when we talk about finances and things, there's ways that we can use money for discretional purpose and stuff. But damn, if you don't have that, like, we got to make that important, And so, man.
But it's also about talking about it.
Yeah.
Right? So it's funny.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Christmas morning, it was either last year or the year before, my dad actually gifted me and my sister a life insurance policy.
Man.
That's dope.
That was our Christmas gift. And
I wish I was y'all neighbor, bro. I would have been rich. Like, dang.
Every
But no,
dinner.
really, he took the time to explain to my youngest two siblings that this was probably the best Christmas gift that we could have gotten.
Exactly.
And to understand why that is. And so, like I said, it's good for us to talk about it because a lot of people don't know it. And you talk about how you don't want to be someone that's just saying it. If you gifted somebody in a policy, or you know what I mean, like just having that conversation about it, I think will help the next person. That will help the next person. That will hopefully pass it down to their kids. And him even having the conversation with his friend. You have a life insurance policy. You got a family to worry about now. We have to keep spreading the knowledge so that they have knowledge to pass on, because your friend probably just didn't know or didn't understand, or my younger siblings, they don't know. And so you have to take that moment to make it a teachable moment to explain why this is, so that they can understand. Because it all goes back to knowledge. Knowledge is power. And the more we can spread it and the more we can build our community up, the better, our kids' and kids' will be.
And I just want to say, he did get a life insurance policy a couple weeks ago. He actually screenshotted and sent it to me. So he did it.
Which means you did it.
Thank you.
There we go.
Look, shout out to that.
Just share all information.
I would say power is knowledge. And, one of the things that me and Duran always talk about is so powerful when it comes to knowledge is that kind of a very raw tale. But when you got caught reading a book as a slave, what'd they do? Cut out your tongue.
Yeah.
That's how powerful knowledge is.
It's the reason why they punish us for educating ourselves.
We'll leave it at that. We thank y'all once again for tuning in to this episode of Brother. We hope that these conversations kind of moved you in a certain way to kind of learn and understand. We want to do more of these, and we can only do more of these with your support. You can support us by following us at Brother Podcast. You also follow us at Maverick Innovation or at Mav Innovators on Instagram. But we have a store that we do in support of this show that you can see these cool shirts and swag and stuff at themaverick.shop is how you can help us support the community, and be on the lookout for our next episode. We're going to be talking about medicinal cannabis. We have actually a black grower who's from Durham. Locally, he's a black business guy, a grower from Durham, and he's talking about how to leverage the crop for economic means now, because we'll be on the other side. So stay tuned for that episode. We appreciate y'all so much.
Yes.